we'll be starting the session right on time. Welcome to the free program review of Caltech's UIX Bootcamp. We'll be talking about how you can design a path to UIX career success in 2024. Thank you for joining in early. We'll be starting right on time in few minutes. So it's fantastic to have you all on board. Also, I'm Rasha Khan. I'm your host for today's webinar, and I'm joining all the way from Bangalore, India. I'm thrilled to be your host today. You can drop us a hello and let us know on the chat box where are you tuning in from with your name. That will be really helpful. Sometimes it's really hard to make out the name from the email IDs here. So let the global conversations begin. Meanwhile, you folks can just interact and introduce yourselves on the chat here. It's always good to know, right? Folks who are joining and socialize and network a little bit before we start. Hi, folks. Folks who have just joined us right now. We'll be starting the session in a few minutes. Meanwhile, we will be doing a quick round of introductions on the chat here. So I'm Rasha Khan. I'm your host of today's webinar. I'm joining from Bangalore, India, and we would love to know where are you tuning in from. You can let us know on the chat box here. We still have some time before we start, and let's introduce ourselves and network a bit. So it's fantastic to have you all on board. Hi, folks. We'll be starting the free program preview right on time. And I see that Nathan has introduced himself on chat here, has joined from California, US. And Musharraf, I can see that you have asked that about the certificate. You should receive it in a week. So maybe look out for it in a few more days. You should receive it. So, yeah. And today's session topic is designing a path to UX career success in 2024. And we also will be doing a free program review of Caltech's UX Bootcamp. So we have an interesting session lined up for you folks, and we will be starting right on time. Meanwhile, let's introduce ourselves. So again, like I think a lot of new people have joined. I'll just introduce myself once again. So I'm Rasha Khan. I'm your host for today's webinar, and I'm joining all the way from Bangalore, India. And I'm thrilled to be a host today. You can let us know on the chat by dropping us a hello and letting us know that where are you tuning in from. So let's introduce ourselves and network a bit before we start. I can see Bhavani has joined from Chicago, US. Musharraf has joined from Punjab, Pakistan. And I can see Mama Dao has joined from California. Please correct me if I'm pronouncing your name wrong. Okay, I can see that he says that I'm a novice in the field of web design and programming, and I'm very excited to be here and to learn more about the bootcamp. So thank you so much. We are excited as well. We have an interesting session lined up just for you folks. And I see more introductions coming in. Al Moraf has joined from Nigeria. Thank you, thank you. Thank you for letting me know that I pronounce your name good. So I think before we start, I see a lot of new folks are joining in. So please keep the introductions coming in. It's always good to network, right? These events before we start. So before we start, we have just quick few ground rules I can take you through. So if you have a question for our speaker today, you can put on your questions in the Q&A box. Q&A box, you can easily navigate it just beside the chat box where we're having a really good conversation here. A good set of introductions are coming in. And the session is being recorded. In case you want to go through the recording of the session once again, you can expect a follow-up email with recording link, webinar certificate, and bonus offer. And also to request proof of attendance for this webinar, you can enter your full name in the post-webinar survey. So that, which basically Musharraf has mentioned that he has filled the full name in the post-webinar survey. So as we move on, let's talk about today's agenda of the session. So we'll be starting with getting to know a little bit more about you, how we can help you out better in your career. And we'll be talking about UI and UX design careers in 2024. What's basically up in UI UX space in 2024. And we'll be talking about Caltech UI UX program, what exactly this program offers, and how this program gets you job ready, and we'll be taking you through the enrollment steps of the program. And also there'll be a special duration for the Q&A part. So we will try to take as many questions as possible during the session, but just not to interrupt the flow of the session for the speaker, we will have a special duration towards the end. So please don't worry if you have basically put down your questions in the Q&A box. I'm pretty sure you have a lot of questions for us, and you can let us know in the Q&A box, and I'll make sure that we basically address all of your queries within the time limit we have. So this basically session is of 60 minutes of duration. And folks who have just joined right now, just to let you know that we have a bonus offer for you for attending this webinar if you're planning to enroll into the Caltech's UI UX Bootcamp. So I think before we move forward, let's basically let's get to know you a little better, as I mentioned. So you can see a quick poll on your screen here, which says how much experience do you have? So how many years of experience do you currently have? So you can just quickly let us know there. And this basically will give us understanding which field of experience or how many years of experience are you joining in from. Now, when I talk about experience here, we are asking for your work experience here. So the 4 quick options are currently studying, 0 to 3 years of experience, 3 to 5 years of experience, and more than 5 years of experience. So you can select the most suitable one as per your experience. And if you don't have any experience, it's okay. You can let us know in the Q&A box or in the chat box that you basically are not working currently. Or you can select the 0 to 3 years of experience option as well. As I was speaking, I saw a lot of introductions which are coming in on chat. That's good. I can see Sanika has basically is interested in this bootcamp. So that's great. Sanika, please do let us know where are you joining us from as well. So we are just doing a quick round of introductions before we start. And also Kana has joined from India, and Eugene has joined from India. Adrian has joined from South Sudan, and Samuel has joined from Nigeria. And we had a lot of more introductions in basically while we were waiting to start the session. So that's great. Keep the introductions coming in, folks who are just joining right now. Meanwhile, as I was speaking, I can see folks have already shared their responses for this poll here. So that's great. We have gotten an active set of audience here. So I will just give 5 seconds more for the poll. Please do quickly go and basically select the most suitable answer for you in how many years of experience do you currently have. You can see a quick poll there. Once we are done, I'll share the results with you folks as well. Okay, I can see on the chat, the conversations are going on. Sanika has joined from Karnataka. So hi, welcome everyone. It's fantastic to have you all on board. I can see Jennifer has joined from Nigeria, but I'm joining from US. Okay, from Nigeria, but joining from US. Okay, awesome. Welcome, welcome. Preston has joined from Austin, Texas, USA. And Nikita, hi Nikita, hello, hello. Where are you joining us from? Please do let us know. Okay, please don't share any personal links or links here on chat. Okay, awesome. I think most of the folks have already shared responses for the poll. Let me quickly end the poll and also share the results with you folks. Let's see. So how many years of experience do you currently have? Let's see what you folks have voted for. So 50% of the votes are for currently studying, 38% votes are for 0 to 3 years of experience, 8% of the votes are for more than 5 years, and 4% is for 3 to 5 years. So that's great. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. And I think someone is asking if we will get the recording. Yes, you will get the recording of the session, which you can expect post-webinar over email in case you want to go through it again. So I hope that answers your question. Let's move on, and would like to introduce our speaker today, Ben Woods. Ben, first of all, would like to thank you and welcome you for taking the time out for this free program review. And we are very happy to have you here, and we are very excited for the session which is ahead. We would love to know a little bit more about you. Can you give us your introduction for the crowd here?
Sure. As you can see on the screen, I've got quite a bit of experience. I'll just kind of give you a quick overview verbally. I've been working in UX for more than 20 years. I actually started out as a graphic designer, specializing in web design. And what really interested me was how people interact with websites. What I noticed was some websites were really easy to use and some were really hard to use. And so I was really interested in understanding what the differences were and why certain things were hard to use and easy to use. And that really led me towards user experience design and research. And so a lot of my work has been with healthcare, financial services, manufacturing, technology companies. I've been teaching with Simplilearn for, I think, 5 or 6 years now. And I've taught courses and given presentations really throughout the world, including Singapore, Romania, the US, of course. I've taught in higher education as well since 2009. UX is a very rewarding career. It's one that I've enjoyed a lot and I've gotten a lot out of. And I look forward to talking with you all about it and answering any questions you may have.
Thank you so much, Ben, and welcome once again. Let's basically start with the topic of today's session. We'll be talking about careers in UI/UX in 2024. So as we move on, I think let's first start with what exactly a UI/UX designer does.
Yeah. UX, the key thing to really make sure you are aware of with the UX is it's much more about understanding people and less about the technology. And so that's why we start off at the very top here. It's about understanding what our user groups are. Different types of people, different types of customers have different needs and different tasks they're trying to accomplish. And so we really want to understand those people. We do interviews. We have a lot of research that we do so we understand what people really need. And then what we do after that is we take those research findings and turn them into a design solution. That can include wireframes, layouts. One of the big tools that I'm a big fan of, and you can see it here, is creating flow diagrams so we really understand how people perform a task, even very simple tasks like checking something out at a grocery store is actually much more complex whenever we break it down and really understand how things work. We also get involved in competitive analysis because we want to understand how our peer companies are doing. We will make sure we're delivering good experiences for customers. And then, of course, we test our designs to make sure that they work well. And so iteration is a big part of what a UX designer does. We may start with one idea, test it, and then update it to make sure that we're creating a good experience for our customers.
Thank you. That sounds interesting. And also, as we have talked about what exactly a UX designer does, let's talk about the hottest skills in the UX space in the coming year, 2024.
Yeah, I say that there's a lot of what you see on here that I would say is foundational, but it's still important. So, for example, information architecture, the fourth bullet on the left there, understanding how organization is organized, how information is categorized, what we call it, what we name it. That goes hand in hand with content strategy, which is understanding how we develop information that people are going to consume. Of course, interaction design, UX research. Research is actually becoming a bigger area. I've seen more jobs for actual user research in the last 12 months than I've seen in previous years. So I think there's greater appreciation for user experience research now, which is a great thing because we need research is a foundational thing for user experience. But the other areas that I think are really interesting for us as user experience designers include accessibility and inclusive design. How can we create good experiences for everyone? So if a person has a visual impairment or some disability, how do we ensure that they also are getting access to the content, the information, and the functionality that they need to live their lives? And I think that's especially important when we look at public services, government provided services, those sorts of things. We want to make sure we're not designing solutions that exclude people. The other is generative AI. Generative AI became kind of a big thing in, I want to say, November of last year. And I think in the last year, we've been finding ways to incorporate generative AI into the UX process. And I've started using generative AI myself for producing prototypes. Sometimes we need some test data, and generative AI is fantastic for creating test data that we can, import into our prototypes. And we're also seeing generative AI helping us to process research findings. So there's a lot of skills, there's a lot of needs. Those are just the ones that I've called out. But if anyone's interested in any of these specifically, I'm happy to talk about them.
Those are a lot of skills I see that folks can take up in the UX space. We would love to know, if any particular skill you would want to basically learn in the coming year. You can let us know in the chat here. You can look up at these skills, and if something you're already learning or you would like to take up as well, which seems very interesting to you, please do let us know in the chat. As we move on, we have talked about the skills here. Let's talk about the career paths as well, the trending UX career paths, basically, which will be coming out of these skills in 2024 as well.
Yeah, I think that as UX has become a more important part of organizations, we're seeing a lot more specialization. So 20 years ago, we've had just a UX designer or a UX professional. And now we see a lot of areas, a lot of specializations that really fit with what people are really interested in. If you're really interested in video games, there are UX designers working in the video game industry for sure. If you have a passion or a lot of experience in healthcare, there is a very big need to help people access healthcare more effectively. And in fact, this actually kind of gets into something that we call service design, which is a branch of user experience design. Ethical UX design is also really important. We see and you'll learn this in the course, we are seeing cases of what we call dark patterns, where companies either intentionally or unintentionally create deceptive experiences. And I'm not going to name names in this session, but that those can lead to fines from the FCC and regulatory agencies. So UX designers play a role in helping companies make sure they are delivering experiences that are transparent and clear and understandable to people, and in very important ways. Content strategists, AR, VR. AR and VR is a very interesting area. I was an early adopter. I had the Google Glass when it came out, I guess 10 years ago or so. And it's interesting. I see there's a question in the QA window about industrial AR, and 100%. I was involved in a little bit of that. I know a lot of companies have been using AR in the industrial space, especially for repairs, service, that sort of thing. I think it's going to be really interesting to see what happens when certain products, for example, Apple's product, whenever it actually gets into the hands of the consumers, what will be the killer app for AR and VR. So, I mean, I think that's an emerging area that, quite honestly, for I think 20 years, we've been trying to figure it out. And I think we're close to having it figured out as to what a good AR VR experience is going to be.
Thank you so much, Ben, for taking us through these career paths in UX in 2024. Folks would love to know what are the career paths you are looking for aspiring in 2024. You can let us know on the chart here. You can see a lot of these career paths on the screen here. Would you like to be a UX researcher, UX designer, interaction designer, AR VR UX designer, which we talked about, and AI ML UX designer? So what exactly career path you are aspiring for in 2024? So you can let us know in the chat here. And if you have any questions about any particular career path as well, we would love to answer them.
I'd like to add just one comment to this, that these are career paths. We call these career paths, but the truth is UX, in terms of its transferable skills and overall method of work, you can actually move between these career paths pretty readily, depending on where you are working and what your experience has been. I mean, as I look at this, I have been a UX UI designer. I've been a researcher. I've done usability analyst. I would say right now, today, I'm really more of a UX UI consultant more often than not. So, as your career grows and opportunities are made available, you have the ability to move between these various paths.
We are getting few responses in the chat here. I see someone has replied ethical, I think UX UI designer, and I can see someone else has also replied game UX designer. I'm sorry, I'm not able to make out your name from your email ID. So yeah, I think we have gotten few responses here, but we would love to know from other folks as well. Please feel free to share what is a career path in UX you would want to explore or you're aspiring towards. As you're here, obviously you're interested in UI UX. I see UI designer from Logina here. So that's great. We would love to know from other folks as well. Please do let us know on the chat. Or any particular question you have about career path, you can let us know in the Q&A box. Now we have talked about the skills here. We've talked about the career paths in the UX space in 2024. Let's talk about what's changing in the UX space for 2024, Ben.
Yeah, I mean, I mentioned AI-powered personalization. I mean, we're using it to create experiences, but it's also becoming an important part of the customer-facing experience. And ultimately, we need to understand how to design a good AI experience for people. When we look at the existing AI tools that are out there, we are really early in the evolution of AI. So this is a great time to be a UX designer. This is almost, I would say, significant as becoming a designer in 1999, before the internet became, right when the internet became a huge thing. I think we're approaching that with AI. I really like the inclusion of voice and chat interfaces. One of the things that we talk about a lot with UX is the visual aspect of UX. But the truth is, a lot of user experience, a lot of the aspects of a good or bad user experience aren't visual at all. And I think voice interactions have really contributed to that understanding. AR, VR, we've talked about a little bit. and the ethical design focus for sure. As I mentioned, we play a role in helping companies do the right thing and do things right. We don't just make things pretty. We actually contribute to how business is done and how it's done well. And the data-driven decisions, as you see here, I would say one of the biggest things I work on with my business partners and clients is how do we explain the value of what we are doing? We have to understand why we are doing what we're doing. We're not doing it because we just like it or because it's nice. We really want to understand what is the organizational impact and outcome of the work that we do.
Totally agree with that. I think data-driven decisions is the most important for any kind of work, I'm pretty sure. So here, as we've talked about the skills here, we have talked about what career paths you can take up in 2024, what are the hottest skills and trends, and also what's basically changing in the UI/UX landscape here. So we would love to know what exactly is stopping you from becoming a UI/UX design expert. So now you can see a quick poll in the screen where you can see 4 options here. This is a multiple choice poll, so you can select multiple options because there can be multiple concerns, right? So here from this poll, we would love to understand that what is the biggest challenge here you face when it comes to aspiring for a career in UI/UX or basically becoming a UI/UX design expert. So there are 4 quick options here. I'll just read out those options for you. If basically those are your concerns here or challenges you face. So the first one is I can't find a program with a fully comprehensive curriculum. Second one, I don't have the practical exposure I need to become job ready. Third one, I find it difficult to learn from pre-recorded videos. And the last one, my work schedule won't allow me enough time for learning. So if these are basically the options we have given, but feel free to let us know if you have any other concern or challenge you're facing as well in the chat box or in the Q&A box, if this basically does not cover all of your challenges which you're facing. So as we're speaking, folks have already started sharing the responses for the poll here. So that's great. I think I'll just give 10 seconds more for the poll here. Meanwhile, I see a few more interesting questions coming up on the Q&A box. So folks who have just joined a little later, so just to let you know, a few ground rules that if you have any question for our speaker, you can let us know in the Q&A box, and we will be taking those questions throughout the session as we get time, but there'll be special duration for the Q&A part towards the end as well. So we will try to address all of your queries as much as possible within the time limit we have. Also, keep the questions related to UI/UX. That will be great. So yeah, I think folks are still sharing response for this poll. So basically the poll says what's stopping you from becoming a UX design expert? What is the biggest challenge you're facing? So this way, this will definitely give us an understanding where exactly you're facing an issue. We'll be doing that, yeah, about the course moving forward. I think I just give 5 seconds for the poll because I see most of the folks have shared responses for the poll, so that's great. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let me quickly end the poll and also share the results with you folks. So as we can see that the highest amount of votes we have gotten for basically the second option here, 46% votes for I wouldn't get the practical exposure I need to become job ready. 38%, like 2 options I've gotten 38% votes. I can't find a program with a fully comprehensive curriculum, and my work schedule won't allow me enough time for learning. 17% votes are for I find it difficult to learn from pre-recorded videos. So thank you so much for sharing that with us. Moving forward, we'll talk about the program here. So the Caltech's UI/UX Bootcamp comes with a comprehensive curriculum with an industry-aligned learning path. It also gives you access to number of amount of case studies and hands-on projects basically to work on for practical experience. Considering that you might not have a UI/UX background, so this program definitely helps you with giving you that experience, which we'll talk about more in the upcoming slides. And also online live virtual classrooms with peer and instructor interaction. Also, this program duration is of 5 months. So in case you are a working professional, you or basically a student, so you can basically give just 10 to 15 hours per week for this basically program, and this basically will be flexible to fit your lifestyle and schedule. Also, what exactly you get from this program? So you get a Caltech CTME program certificate, which you can see on your screen here by California Institute of Technology. for the UI/UX Bootcamp by Caltech. And as mentioned earlier, get hands-on learning with industry-based projects and including a capstone one, which we'll talk about in the upcoming slides. Live networking sessions with FAMUL experts, masterclasses with Caltech CTMA instructors, and Simplilearn's job assist career service as well. So let's talk more about in detail, but here the Caltech CTM advantage. So California Institute of Technology here is a 130-year-old institution. It is basically a home and alma mater of many Nobel laureates. It basically consistently ranks top 5 universities worldwide, and having a Caltech CTME on your CV definitely is something that will be recognized worldwide and definitely will amp your portfolio while you're getting out there and trying to land your dream job of UI/UX. Here, I think someone asked about the eligibility and prerequisites here. So both aspiring new designers and current designers wishing to upskill can basically join this program. You only need to be basically at least 18 years of age and have a high school diploma. So I saw that a lot of folks who have joined us are currently studying. So that's totally great. Like, you can basically join this program if basically you want to upgrade yourself. Now let's talk about how this program basically prepares you. So let's talk about how the program builds your UX design skills step by step. Maybe Ben, can you take us through that?
Yeah, we'll just start at the bottom and work our way up. We do start with an orientation session, and then we get into user experience design, where we really talk about the fundamentals of what user experience design is. We talk about interaction principles, usability, heuristics, those sorts of things. Then we get into user interface design principles. How do we actually design a good experience? What are the conventions that we might follow? We get into mental models. So we start to introduce some psychology, some concepts from cognitive psychology, because again, a lot of it is, so much of what we do is understanding people and designing for their needs. We'll then move into UI, user interface prototyping and styling, where we start off with some very simple design tools, and then we move into Figma and others. We'll do some work on that. One of my favorite modules is the UX research and testing, where we really figure out how good is our design or how effective is our design. So we'll talk about some very specific techniques and tactics for that. And then we introduce AI, AR, and VR in the last module. And then probably my other favorite module is the capstone project. And what I really like about the capstone project, I'm a big fan of capstone projects for boot camps and really pretty much any educational opportunity, is every step before that you're learning. And so maybe projects are good, maybe they're maybe not as good, but the capstone project is really an opportunity where students get to really flex their newly developed skills. And so I frequently see projects early in bootcamps or early in courses. They're usually good. Maybe there's some mistakes, but what I really usually see, and what's really nice, is to see how students and learners really level up in that capstone project. And that's something that really should be, it is comprehensive, would be a really good centerpiece for a portfolio, and really lets you demonstrate that you really can do various parts, various components of a UX professional's job. You really get to exercise multiple skills and tools.
Thank you so much, Ben, for taking us through the UI/UX design skill step here in the program. Also, let's talk about the electives here. The electives here, Caltech CTMA UI/UX Bootcamp Masterclasses, website building using HTML5 and CSS3, networking session with design leaders, and UX design thinking. The electives come as a part of the program. They are optional, so we actually don't charge anything extra for that. It is up to you if you want to take them. Also, let's talk about the tools and in-demand UI/UX design tools basically get to master on this over this program. As you can see, Figma, InVision, Blastmake, Sketch, and many more. Maybe Ben, maybe you can tell us someone who basically completely new to UI/UX, what we recommend them to start with, which this program covers.
It's funny. There are so many tools out there for UX, and I've actually been reminded of some recently. There's a website, I can't remember what it's called, but they just put out their 2023 survey of various UX tools, both for design, prototyping, and research. And I mean, in 2023, I would say Balsamiq is a nice, simple tool, but I would say in 2023 and 2024, I would say Figma is probably the number one in-demand tool that you should learn, followed by Sketch. InVision is still out there, but right now I'd say Figma and Sketch are really the ones that are most in demand.
That sounds interesting, and other tools as well, which are covered in this program. And also, let's talk about the capstone. I think you have mentioned capstone, how exactly important it is, to basically have after you're done with your program, how it basically plays the major role. For someone who basically is coming from, again, like a different background, basically transitioning into UI UX, how does having a capstone project which they can showcase to their future employees exactly helps? If you can tell us.
Yeah, I mean, it helps because the capstone project is really written in such a way that you have to affect and understand what the actual outcome of the organizational problem is that you're solving. It's not a case of we say, here, make this screen look like this. You really need to understand the business problem as defined in the capstone projects, and they're realistic. So you might do something like design an online gift shop, for example. So you're gonna have to consider things like how do people get to your site? How do they register for your service? How do they purchase? How do they find things to buy? So again, it's a very comprehensive, realistic project. So you really are kind of taking a problem from the beginning all the way to the end in your capstones.
That sounds pretty interesting, and a capstone project to have in your basically portfolio while you're getting out there and trying to land a job in your UX. So again, like I think you have already mentioned the capstone projects. I can maybe talk about the capstone projects which we have in this program, which you can choose from: designing the sports community app, designing an e-auction application, improve online shopping experience, and role engine framework portal. Again, like these are the capstone projects we have, which you get to choose from, and you can work on those to basically showcase in your portfolio. Now, we also have global leaders as program advisors from Caltech. We have Rick Hefner, who's the Caltech CTME Executive Director. He basically makes sure that Simplilearn is delivering as per standards of Caltech. And also, we basically work with industry design experts at industry. As we can already see, Ben Worth is already here, who basically is taking us through the program preview of Caltech UX. And we also have another basically industry expert. Maybe Ben, you can tell us more about your basically fellow industry experts here, and what basically kind of expertise do we get from instructors here?
Well, I think that what you get from Vicky and myself, coincidentally, we're both in Ohio in the US. I'm in the northern part, Vicky is in the southern part. But what you get from having people like myself and Vicky is we've been doing this for a very long time. We have a lot of experience that we bring to the classroom. In fact, during a typical class, during a typical session, we'll go through our actual planned lectures, planned activities, but I frequently include at the very end, usually in the last hour or 30 minutes, I always try to bring some kind of example from my work that has happened or within the last week. Because what we cover in the boot camps is actually very relevant. You should be able to get skills from a session and apply them very quickly. And so I try to really kind of relate what is in the course to my work. I've worked with large companies, startups, companies like Fidelity, Dell Technologies, Pfizer, a lot of them. Vicky is also an independent contractor. She's worked with various companies, including, I believe, United Airlines. I'm not as familiar with her CV, but I know she's done a lot of work with larger companies, as well as, I believe, some startups. So again, I think between the two of us, you have decades of experience that we can draw on to really kind of help you to see where certain aspects of the curriculum are applicable to real world problems.
That sounds interesting. A very lively, live room to be a part of, classroom to be a part of. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. And as we move on, we have talked about the job assist services as well, which Simplilearn basically provides. So we have this in partnerships with Talent Inc., where you get access to job portal Resume Rabbit, resume review and rewrite service by Top Resume, and also one-on-one interview service from Top Resume. This is basically when basically you're done with your program and basically you're trying to basically prepare your resume, rewrite, and we basically provide those job assist services and also interview prep as well, because soft skills are equally important, right, to convert a job. So now that we have talked about basically the skills, the career paths, and also about the program, basically what all does it cover. So we basically will take maybe like few questions here from the Q&A box, as we can see. So I think let me do one thing. I'll just put down a question for Ben here on the chat here directly to him. So we have few questions which we can answer right now as well, just to give you clarity, because we have been talking for a long time now and we would love to address the few of your queries as we move on. So I think this is, I cannot make your name, but I think I see Jennifer here. Correct me if I'm wrong. Is asking that, are there so much difference between a UI UX designer and a front-end developer? Right.
Yeah, there is a difference, and I would say they do work together very frequently, but there is a very specific difference in their skills. So a UX designer generally is going to produce mock-ups, create specifications. They might create a design system, for example, that would be used by a front-end developer. A front-end developer, they have different skills. So your UX designer is going to know research, design systems, etc. Your front-end developer is not going to do user research. They might participate in the creation of components for a design system, but a front-end developer is going to know different things, like they're going to know React. They're going to be really good with CSS and HTML and JavaScript. A UX designer generally doesn't need to know a whole lot about React, CSS, HTML, and such. So, what I would say is the difference between a UX designer and a front-end developer is kind of like having somebody who is an architect for a building, might be the UX designer, and the foreman who builds the building is kind of like the front-end developer. They execute what the UX designer designs. And it looks like there's a, go ahead.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you so much for answering that, Ben. Yes, I have put on like few more questions here. Also, just to let you know, folks, that we will be moving towards the Q&A part of the session, which will be coming in a few minutes. So we are answering few questions here, but you can let us know if you have any questions about the program in general, UX career in general, if you're transforming your career from somewhere else, or you're basically trying to take up this as your first thing, which you basically study as well. So this is the time where you go and put on the questions in the Q&A box and let us know if you have any queries for our speaker, Ben Woods here. But we'll answer the few questions we have gotten here to start with. So I see a question. I'm not able to understand exactly what is the question, but I'll just read it out. So is the experience base on UX UI? I think this person is asking the experience base which is required to becoming a UX UI designer. I think so.
Yeah, that's how I read it. So how much experience, or what experience do you need for UX and UI? I would say the good thing about the UX profession is you can come to it from almost any career. I know people in the UX profession who, like myself, they started out as graphic designers, but there's a fairly good number of people who started out as psychologists, cognitive psychologists, and made the move into UX. Librarians even have gone into UX. In fact, information architecture kind of started with library sciences. So there's really almost any background you can come from and be successful. The number one thing I would say that matters to the number one factor in how successful you're going to be as a UX professional really comes down to how curious you are and how much you like to learn. If you're the kind of person who, you look at a product at a store and you ask yourself, why was it made this way? You might do really well with this program. If you kind of look at how people interact with things and wonder, why are they doing this the way they are? Why does it work the way it does or not work the way it does? Why is something so hard? If you're the kind of person who questions a lot of things and notices those sorts of things, you're probably going to do really well. So curiosity is the number one thing that I look for.
Staying curious is the way. Totally agree. I think let's take one more question before we move ahead. So I think, see, one question: does a UI UX designer have to incorporate programming languages in their work? If so, how does this work theoretically?
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of similar to the question about the front end developers and UX designers. Typically UX designers don't need to know programming languages. That said, I think it also depends on where you work. So if, for example, you were working, I'll say in California for a tech startup, they might expect a UX designer to be able to create an HTML prototype. And in fact, I have done that myself. It's been a while, but I've done that myself. I've created an HTML prototype so that our developers could see how something should work. But like I said, it really depends on what industry you're in and really what part of the world you're in, whether you're expected to have programming languages. Typically, you don't. But it really varies by what industry you want to go into. If you were, for example, going to go into service design at a hospital, you probably would not have to have any programming experience or knowledge, because really you're talking about a physical space and you're talking a lot more about processes and people processes than languages or technology.
Thank you so much for answering that, Ben. Please do let us know. Couldn't make out your name from the email ID here, but please do let us know if that answers your question. And if you have any follow-up question for Ben here, we would love to answer that. I think we have gotten one more question here. This is by Smita Reddy. She's asking that does UX will be in demand in 2024? I think we have talked about that, but maybe you can give a small summary why exactly UX will be in demand for 2024.
Yeah. Yes. Will UX be in demand in 2024? Yes, 100%. I have absolutely no doubts that UX is going to be in demand in 2024 and frankly beyond. And there's a number of reasons for this. I'll give you two. The first is there are so many enterprise applications and pieces of software and websites that are out there. There was a metric I saw somewhere, it was a couple of years ago, that basically said something like 90% of all software is going to have to be written over the next several years because of usability errors and because they're so hard to use. And there'll be examples in the course of software that's hard to use, and it actually leads to really bad outcomes for companies, including loss of money and health. So it will be in demand. The other side of that is not the historic demand, but the future demand. Really, UX is about understanding the relationship between people and their tools, whether it's a product or a service. And so people have been making tools for hundreds of thousands of years, and they're going to continue to make tools. And what we really do is make those tools easier to use. And as you look at out on the horizon, we talked about AI. That's becoming a big thing. We're talking about AR and VR. We're still talking about voice assistants. Those are still out there. So as every time a new technology or a new tool is introduced to the market, there is a need for UX designers to make that accessible to customers.
Thank you so much, Ben, for answering that. Smita, please do let us know if you have any follow-up question, if that answers your question. We are getting more questions, so let's do one thing. I think we'll do that in the Q&A part of the session as we are running out of time. So folks, please buckle up and put down your questions in the Q&A box. We'll be taking more questions pretty soon. But meanwhile, we have taken you through the program here. And basically, this comes to the enrollment part here. So are you interested in enrolling into the Caltex UX Bootcamp? Now that we have covered the skills, the career paths which will be trending, the UI UX which will be in demand in 2024 and beyond. Also about the program here, which basically covers a lot of things, including a capstone project and multiple industry projects which you can work on and showcase to your future employees here. And also the bonus offer for attending this webinar, which you can apply to this basically enrollment here here in Caltech UX Bootcamp. Also, not to mention that we have upcoming cohorts basically throughout the year. So time is not an issue here. You can apply that bonus offer whenever you basically plan to enroll, which I'll be asking that as well in the upcoming slides. So please don't worry about that. So I'll just quickly launch a poll here, and we would love to know your interest. Would you like to enroll into the Caltech UX Bootcamp? Also, let's not forget the bonus offer here, which you'll be getting to basically join the program here through this webinar. I see that someone has replied, yes, I'm interested, but please do go ahead and vote in the poll as well. That basically will give us a good understanding here when to reach out to you and with the admissions offer letter as well. So I see, as I'm speaking, I see a lot of interest coming towards enrollment here, towards Caltech UX Bootcamp. That's great. But I think I'll just give some time. And meanwhile, folks who have already shared the responses for the poll here, which you see on your screen, please do put down your questions in the Q&A box, because I know that you have joined the session and we have done a lot of talking here, but I'm pretty sure you have questions about UI UX in general or career in general, or anything you might have for a speaker here today. So please do let us know, because we'll be moving to the Q&A part of the session pretty soon. So we did cover a few questions, but I see a lot more questions coming in. So we have some time where we can cover more questions here. So that's good. I see Madhurima has added a question in the chat. It would be great if you can add it in the Q&A box as well. So you can, for folks who have already responded to the poll, I'll be taking you through the enrollment steps of the program. And also, I think someone has asked what is the program fee as well. So I'll be sharing that in the upcoming slides, and also the upcoming cohorts as well for folks basically who want to join immediately, and also basically when do you plan to join as well. We would love to know that as well in the upcoming next few minutes. So meanwhile, please utilize this time. And if you're done with the poll, please do let us know your queries you might have for our speaker today. So we would love to answer and address all of your queries as much as possible in the next 15 minutes. So we have time. So I think I'll just give 10 seconds more for the poll here. And I see a lot of interest coming towards the Caltech UX Bootcamp enrollment. So that's great. But I think we'll just give 10 seconds more for a few of the folks who are still thinking about it. Also, let's not forget the bonus offer as well, which you can apply for attending this webinar while enrolling into the program. Awesome. And also, if you require any further assistance or have any inquiries after the webinar as well, please don't hesitate to reach out to us at askus@simplilearn.net. Your learning journey is our priority, and we are here to support you in every way as possible. I'll share that on the chat here, the email ID here. Which basically, any questions you have, anything you have, any concerns you have, you can always reach out to us there as well. So as I was speaking, I see a lot of folks are still responding to this poll here. So just one last time, are you interested in enrolling in the Caltech UI UX Bootcamp? You can see here, yes or no option, quick poll here on the screen. Which you can answer. Through that, we will get to know if you're interested. Definitely, we'll be reaching out to you with a much more detailed walkthrough of the program through Simplilearn's learning consultants, and also basically enrollment into the program and admissions offer letter of the program. So thank you so much. I see a lot of interest towards program, so that's great. Every time I'm trying to go and end the poll, people are still voting for enrollment. So I think I'll just give 10 seconds more. And meanwhile, I see new questions coming up in the Q&A box, so that's great. We will take that in some time. Please quickly go and upload your questions in the Q&A box. We will be addressing those pretty soon. And in case we have not answered your question, please don't worry. Have some patience. We'll be answering that in a few minutes. Just keep your questions related to UI UX, that's all. Or the program, if you have any questions about the program. Awesome. I think I'll just give 5 seconds more for the poll here, because I see folks are still responding for the poll. Okay. I think I'll just give 10 seconds more, because I see the poll is still moving. We are getting a lot of responses here. So 10 more seconds and we'll move forward with the enrollment steps. Meanwhile, you folks have been a great audience, great participative audience here. So thank you so much for that. Yeah, I think we have gotten a lot of responses for this poll here, and I'll be ending this poll in 5 seconds. So few of the folks who are still yet to respond, please quickly go and respond if you're interested in enrolling into the Caltech UI UX Bootcamp. So let me quickly end the poll in 5 seconds. Last 5 seconds, folks here. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let me quickly end the poll. And thank you so much for sharing a lot of interest towards Caltech UX Bootcamp. Appreciate it. Let's quickly take you through the enrollment steps here. I see a lot of folks are replying on chat as well. Interested, so that's good. But I hope you have also voted on the poll as well. That is how you'll get to know. Here you need to follow three simple easy steps here. Basically, in order to enroll, you need to submit an application to us at askus@simplilearn.net. I have already shared that email ID on the chat here. I'll share it again in some time. And based on that, your application will be going for review. Caltech will be basically reviewing your application based on the eligibility which we have, which I've shared earlier. You need to be at least 18 years of age and have a high school diploma. And then based on that, you'll be getting admissions offer letter and a call from Simplilearn's learning consultant to take you through a much more detailed walkthrough of the program, and also the bonus offer which you can basically apply for attending this webinar as well while you're enrolling. Also, the program fee and schedule for this Caltech UX Bootcamp is $8,000 US, and also financing options are also available. I think someone asked about this, that if I can pay in EMI. So yes, you can do that for as low as $704 per month. Also, the upcoming cohorts for Caltech UX Bootcamp is on basically the classes will start on 5th February, and also the induction will also happen on 5th February. And we do have like limited seats per cohort. So we only take 25 to 30 folks per cohort in order to make sure you're getting all the attention that is required while you're taking up this program. Also, moving on, for folks who have already shared their interest towards enrollment, we would love to know how soon do you plan to enroll. So you can see 4 quick options here. This will give us understanding when to basically reach out to you and which cohort will be the most suitable for you to start with. So for folks, which I saw a lot of you, please do let us know through this poll who basically have shared their interest towards enrollment, that how soon do you plan to enroll. So this way you can basically avail the bonus offer any time of the year as well, and whenever you plan to start. And you can see these 4 quick options which you can choose from, which is immediately, within 3 months, within 6 months, and more than 6 months from now. Excuse me. Okay, as I was speaking, I see folks have already started sharing responses for the poll. So we have, as I said earlier, we've got an active set of audience here. And we would love to see you in upcoming cohorts of Caltech UX Bootcamp as well. So looking forward to it. I think I'll just keep this poll alive for 5 seconds more because I see a few of the folks are still voting for it. Meanwhile, I'm just browsing through the Q&A here because we're getting a few new questions here as well, which we'll be addressing pretty soon. Awesome. I think I'll just give 5 seconds more for the poll here. So a few of the folks who are still voting, please do quickly vote. Basically, how soon do you plan to enroll? So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let me quickly end the poll. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. Now, coming back to the Q&A part here, let's just quickly browse through. We have answered a lot of your questions during the session, but I think let me just quickly browse through the questions we have here. Okay, I think this question is by Nathan here, Ben. Nathan says that I have been working in Figma while in college. Should I be using that program?
Yeah, yes, 100% yes, you should keep using Figma. Figma has really become very quickly become one of the most popular, and I would say the industry standard tool for UX and UI design. I know more and more teams are looking to move towards Figma. And Figma has a really nice open architecture that allows you to integrate lots of various plugins. They've really done a really good job of making a tool that does almost everything well, from wireframing to prototyping to collaboration, even to hand off to front-end developers. It can generate code that you can give to your front-end developer, and it helps make their job a lot easier. So yeah, I would say keep using Figma. The other thing I would say is be flexible and expect that there will be new tools coming along. So I've been doing this for more than 20 years, and I've seen a lot of tools in that time come and go. So yeah, keep using Figma, but be ready to learn something new whenever it comes along.
Thank you so much for answering that. I hope that answers your question. Please do let us know on the chat if you have any follow-up question for us. If on the chat here. So I think we have one more question here from Madhurima. Yeah, need the response. Thank you. We have one more question from Madhurima. Sorry. How to know at what field I can be good at, because I like UX, UI, and UX both.
Yeah, I think the good thing about a boot camp or educational opportunities like this is that it gives you the opportunity to try different things. So in this boot camp, we certainly talk about usability testing. We talk about accessibility. Again, we talk a little bit about the ethical aspects of design. So I think that it really will give you a sense for what you do well and what you enjoy. I think that's what a lot of people get from these sorts of experiences is it opens their eyes to what they are really interested in. In fact, you might find something completely different than UI and UX. You might find out that you like content strategy, for example. So, again, I think being open-minded and you'll find something that you like.
Interesting. I think the content strategy part is pretty interesting as well. Thank you so much for answering that, Ben. Madhurima, I hope that answers your question. Please do let us know on the chat or in the Q&A box if you have any follow-up question for us. I see one interesting question from Samuel Okoro. I have no prior knowledge of web design or UI UX. How challenging will it be for me to learn since I'm starting from scratch or beginning?
I don't think it's going to be that hard. Again, I think the most important thing is that you need to really, again, be curious about things. You have no knowledge of web design or UX or UI, and that's fine. But I would say if you use websites or mobile apps and you wonder why they're designed the way they are, why some are easier to use than others, I think that's going to be perfectly fine. Again, it's more about understanding why things are designed the way they are, how people interact with them, than any specific technical skill. So, yeah, I think you'll be fine starting from the beginning.
Thank you so much for answering that, Ben. Samuel, I hope that answers your question, and Madhurima also says yes. That basically answered her question as well. I think we'll take one last question here. Please do let us know if you have any more questions for Ben here, because we're taking last few set of questions because we have answered a lot of your questions during the session as well, due to the time limitation we have. So I think this is by Smita again. Smita is asking that I am a student and can I do this course in my free time, or will there be a particular time to complete the course? I think it's pretty flexible, right? Like they can just complete it by giving 10 to 15 hours per week. But what would you recommend, Ben? Not in terms of if they can complete it in their free time, but what would you recommend to a student, while they're taking up this program, and how do they manage it with something else is going on while they're actually taking up this program?
Yeah, I mean, I think that there is extended time to complete capstone projects and such, and I would say there is a attendance requirement, although I don't think it's very high. I think it may be 50% of sessions have to be attended. The sessions are live. I believe they are recorded. So I definitely recommend participating and attending the scheduled sessions, which I believe there's 2 or 3 per week for the 5-week boot camps. But I would definitely recommend attending those. They're usually, I want to say they're 3 hours long, but we have breaks in between. And if people have to leave early or arrive late, that's fine. But yeah, and then again, towards the end, we have a lot of questions and answers, ask me anything. They are engaging. They aren't pre-recorded, so they are a little bit more dynamic in that sense. So I mean, I would say that you can definitely do some of it in your spare time, for sure, and there is time available for you to complete projects, and you can also view sessions if you miss them.
Yeah, definitely. They'll be available basically for to view anytime. And I think that basically is the last question we'll be taking today. We have gotten a lot of interesting questions here. So I think one last quick poll before we go towards the end of the session here. So folks who have already shared their interest towards enrollment into the Caltech UX Bootcamp, and also have let us know when do you plan to enroll as well. So we just need to know that if you need assistance into enrolling into the Caltech UX Bootcamp. This is a very quick, easy poll here with yes or no options. You can let us know through this poll if you need much more assistance. And also for folks who have joined from different countries. So I have shared the program fee for you in basically US dollars. But I know that a lot of you folks have joined from different countries as well. So for your own country, I have shared the link to the program. You can check out details there as well. But you have already basically shared your interest towards enrollment through this webinar. So you can basically avail the bonus offer through this only. But for details, you can check out the link which I've shared for your own region for the upcoming cohorts and also the program fee as well. Okay, I can see one question here, which basically says that I have, can one join the bootcamp with no experience and very little knowledge in UI UX? Are there any prerequisites to know before diving into the bootcamp? I think we have shared that earlier that you basically need to be an aspiring basically designer or someone who's interested in this field. I think that's completely enough. There are no such prerequisites, only eligibility is an issue where you need to be at least 18 years of age or have an high school diploma. I hope that answers your question, Mamadou. Cool name, by the way. I think I'll just end this poll because I see folks have already responded to the poll here. Thank you so much for that. Let me quickly end the poll in 5 seconds. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Thank you so much for sharing if you need assistance. So we are towards the end of the program. And first of all, I would like to thank Ben here, who basically has taken us through this free program review and also have taken us through a lot of hottest skills, trends, career paths, what exactly is happening in the UX landscape in the next year and beyond as well. So thank you for taking the time out for this free program review, Ben. Would you like to see something of folks here before we end the session?
No, thank you for having me. I hope you all enjoy learning about UX as much as I have, and I hope to see you all in 2024.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Folks, do let us know how did you like the session here on the chat. And also there'll be a post-webinar survey once I end the session. You will immediately get a pop-up from Zoom which says post-webinar survey. You can fill out basically your full name there for the webinar certificate. You can expect that within a week or two. And also there'll be a feedback thing as well. So please do let us know if you have any feedback for us. We always would want to make our webinars much more better and provide you as much value as possible through these webinars. So thank you so much. Thank you. I see a lot of thank yous coming here. So that's looks great, and thank you so much. We'll be ending the session now right on time. So that's also pretty good. So thank you so much once again, Ben, and thank you everyone for being an active set of audience here. Thank you so much, folks. Thank you. Looking forward to see you in the upcoming course of Caltech UX Bootcamp. Thank you. Thank you so much, folks. We'll be ending the session now.